Hello friends, this is Raman Gill with their weekly Forex market analysis for November 14th, 2016. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started. This is for educational purposes only. If you have questions about your individual investment needs, I recommend you talk to your investment advisor. We'll start off by taking a look at the economic calendar to see what important news is on the agenda for this week, and then we'll get into the commitment of traders data to see how the bigger players are positioned, and finally we'll take a look at the charts to see where we may be able to find some great trades for this week. Looking at our economic calendar here, we start the week off with some data out of Japan. We have preliminary GDP numbers for Japanese yen here, which came out as positive. We also have Bank of Japan Governor Kuroda speaking, and this normally will have an impact on the yen, so be mindful of that. We also have China industrial production data, which came out in line with expectations here. The retail sales were slightly lower, and on Monday here, very important, we have ECB President Draghi speaking, so that is something to be mindful of. We could see volatility in the euro as a result of this. We also have retail sales for the New Zealand dollar. Just over the weekend here, we saw a big earthquake in New Zealand there in Christchurch, and as a result we see that the New Zealand dollar is taking quite a hit. And also just after the elections there, the commodity currencies have taken quite a hit, and as a result we have seen New Zealand dollar, US dollar, and Canadian dollar all drop, including gold and oil as well. Oil was dropping already. So with the elections, Hillary Clinton was the market favorite. They were expecting Hillary to win. However, with the FBI announcement at the worst moment possible, that caused the markets to be volatile, which resulted in a lot of large moves to the upside. And then as the election results came out, we saw that Donald Trump was winning, and that caused the markets to move up sharply. And when finally the victory actually was announced and Republicans won both the houses, that actually was positive for the US dollar. Market saw that as a positive thing because now they will be able to pass the laws between both the houses. And also we saw that Donald Trump actually was not very negative when he made his speech. Some of the things that he was promising in his campaign, he was not saying those same things in his speech, so that was positive for the markets. And since then, markets have taken this as a sign that maybe Donald Trump wouldn't actually go through all those things that he talked about during his elections. Maybe his views may not be as radical as he was suggesting in his pre-election campaign. So that's yet to be seen. However, that's what the markets are seeing at this moment. They like that Republicans are in both the House. Anytime there's a majority government, it's easier for them to pass the laws, which is good. And also, if Donald Trump just tones down what he says, that will be positive for the markets. So moving on here, we also have monetary policy meeting minutes for the Australian dollar. Australian dollar has come down as gold has come down. So this will be very important. We have seen New Zealand cut interest rates, and that was one of the reasons that New Zealand dollar has fallen so much last week. And this week we are looking for continuation of that. And then we have preliminary GDP numbers for Germany in the Eurozone on November 15th, which is Tuesday. We also have RBA Governor Lau speaking. Now with New Zealand dollar cutting rates here, the pressure will be on Australia to do the same. So this will be interesting. Market will be watching to see what Governor Lau has to say in regards to that. We also have CPI numbers, which is the inflation data for British pound. And then we have inflation report hearings for the pound. Again, going into the US session here, we have core retail sales and retail sales numbers, which will be important. And then we have dairy prices, which is the GDP price index for New Zealand. On Wednesday here, we have average earnings index for the British pound and claimant count numbers as well here. And then into the US session, we have manufacturing sales and PPI numbers, which will be important. And then crude oil inventory is very, very important. We have seen oil drop a lot since it formed that double top. And now it may be time for it to push back up a little bit, so that's something to be mindful of, which means the dollar CAD right now it is very bullish, so we may get a bit of a pullback, but at this point it is bullish. We have PPI output numbers for New Zealand dollar and employment numbers for Australia on Wednesday as well. Going into Thursday here, retail sales number for the British pound, and very, very important here, ECB monetary policy meeting account. So this will be important. And then into the US session, we have CPI and core CPI numbers, which are the inflation numbers for the US. So if the inflation is in line, then we may start to hear the Fed talking about raising interest rates, which will be positive for the US dollar. So something to watch out for there. We also have unemployment claims and Philly Fed manufacturing index. And the most important thing here for Thursday is Fed Chair Yellen testifying. Market will be paying close attention to this because they would want to know what the Fed's view is now that Trump is in power, and how they are viewing the markets, and if they are still going to raise the interest rates in December. And then the following day on Friday, we have ECB President Draghi speaking once again. So a lot of central bankers speaking this week. So be mindful when they are speaking. That particular pair will have a lot of volatility, so be careful with that one. And then we have core CPI numbers for the Canadian dollar, and also FOMC member George speaking here. Also, we have Bullard earlier. So a lot of different members speaking here, which is very important as well. So big week for central bankers. Let's move on to the commitment of traders data. Here we are looking at Euro US dollar, and it appears that they have increased the short positions in the euro. Here we've gone from 152,000 to 157,000, so that's an increase in the short positions, which is negative for the euro. Pound US dollar, here we have actually seen the positions stay fairly stable. We went from 90,262 short positions to 90,282 short positions, so they are pretty much flat at this point, so which is neutral for British pound. Dollar yen, here we are seeing everything coming together, so this is very interesting. This is the defining moment. After this, we'll see how things play out. We have leverage money positions at 27,990. They have been dropping over the last while. We were quite bullish on the Japanese yen, but with all the comments about the stimulus and things like that, we have seen the yen drop quite a bit, and now we are seeing the dealer positions and the leverage money positions coming together. So it will be interesting to see over the next few weeks how this plays out, but at this point we are very neutral on the Japanese yen. Dollar CAD, here we see that the leverage money positions have actually increased. The short positions have increased further. We went from 13,000 to 18,228, which is negative for the Canadian dollar, which means positive for dollar CAD. New Zealand US dollar, here we are seeing a slight uptick in the leverage money positions. So we have gone from 20,019 to 20,943, so slight increase in the long positions by leverage money, which is positive for the New Zealand dollar. Aussie US dollar, here we are seeing long positions have gone from 41,868 to 47,223, so this is quite positive for Australian dollar, and we could see Australian dollar go up, so this is bullish for Australian dollar. Let's move on to the charts. Here we are looking at pound US dollar weekly chart. Here we have seen a very bullish candle close. We saw previous two bull candles close bullish here, and now we are coming and testing this level again, the 2500 level again. Looking at the daily chart, though, we do have a pin bar on the British pound, so the weekly chart looks very bullish at this point. The daily chart is bearish here, so at this point we could get a pullback even into this 2350 area here. However, if the price stays above 2500, then we are looking for another push to the upside. An ideal short position here would be at this 2891, so 2900 level, 12900 level. If the price comes up to 12900 level, that would be a good short position, because then we are going back into this range here. However, we do have this upside at the moment, so price could move up. Euro US dollar chart, here we saw a big price drop in the euro post elections, and now we have ECB President Draghi speaking twice this week. We also have Fed Chair Yellen speaking, so a lot of volatility can be expected in this pair. However, looking at the weekly chart here, this looks very bearish. based on the daily here, we did see a big drop here. We saw prices push up and then close below here. So big volatile move. And now we are looking for a further move to the downside. The next level that we would be targeting would be 10700 level. At this point, since it has dropped a fair bit, we could see price pull up before it drops again. So in that case, the level we would be watching would be this 109.50 or 60 level into these pins right here. 109.50 level, so that's what we will be watching. If the price does pull back into 109.50, that would be a nice short from that, and if it stays below, so that would be a nice short. At this point though, we are bearish on euro, but we could see a pullback because it's a big move to the downside. New Zealand US dollar here on the weekly chart, we are a very bearish close, and now we're looking for further follow through to the downside 69.50 area as a potential target. So here's our New Zealand dollar. We have seen that it just dropped over the last few days. At this point, especially with the earthquake in Christchurch, that has had a negative impact on the New Zealand dollar, and we have seen a drop here. However, because the market has been moving down for the last few days, we could see a pullback, and in this case a pullback that we could look for would be 72.65 or just the 7200 level itself. That would be a good level to take a potential short as well. It does depend on how the prices behave. Overall, we are bearish on New Zealand dollar. Aussie US dollar here, this is a very bearish candle close. We have engulfing candle with a pin on the top. So this is bearish for Aussie, and we would be looking for a follow through in the same direction here. The target that we are aiming for is 7400, and below that we would be looking for 72.40 area. Looking at the daily chart here as well, we have seen the price drop for a few days consecutively. Looking at the daily chart here, we have seen the price drop for the last few days, and as a result we could see a potential pullback, and the level that we would be watching would be 76.30 level here. If the price stays below 76.30, we're looking for a further move to the downside. Overall, we are bearish on Aussie dollar. Dollar CAD here moving in the opposite direction. We have seen price pushing up higher here, and at this point we see a very bullish close for the weekly candle, and we are looking for further follow through to the upside. Here we are on the daily chart, and more price is pushing up at the moment. The next target is 36.50, and above that 38.50 level. So those will be the two potential levels we would be watching. Right now it looks very bullish. So that's it for today. If you would like to learn profitable trading strategies, I invite you to visit tradingwithvenus.com/Forex course. In the course, we cover a lot of technical analysis, candlestick and chart patterns. We also look at fundamental analysis to see what are some of the important things you should be paying attention to. I also share my profitable trading strategies, the setups that I've found that really work, and we'll also talk about trade management as well as risk management. You will also get access to my trade library of some of the really good trade examples. And one of the ways to really learn something, and especially when it comes to Forex, is to make sure you go back and you mark up your charts and you are practicing, you're identifying those chart patterns. It's like practicing, let's say you play basketball, this is like practicing shooting the ball. So you have to go back on the charts and make sure you look for those trade setups and see how they set up in the past so you can take them in the future. If you don't have time to do that, I do have a media library where I go through a ton of trade examples, so you can just go through them. You can understand how these trades set up so you can actually see them in the live market conditions. You will also get my pivot point indicator as a bonus, and the cost for the course is $497. To purchase it, you can go to tradingwithvenus.com/Forex course. That's it for now. I will see you next time.